Hey, so I know a lot of you have been wondering what went on last night, so we'll kind of share our story together. Um, I'll start off by we headed that way to the spot that we were told to meet at 11:15. We got there, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes early. Waited around, anticipation grew with each car that passed by, not knowing if that was the car that we were meeting. Um, and then finally, we saw a car pull in, and I think somebody got out of it. Martin said he saw somebody get out of it. We weren't for sure. But then the car pulled forward, and we noticed that it was Dan. Dan got out of the car, came to Martin's side of the window, and told us to get out. So we did. We got out. He asked about our phones, told us to shut them off, and in doing so, he wanted to make sure that they were powered off and wanted to put them away. And he told us to put these black hoods over our face, buckle up, and not take them off. I just remember sitting there and trying to basically track each turn, each stop that we did. I don't know, I guess to keep myself busy or remember it in case I needed to. I don't know. It's just one of those things that goes through your mind. So we finally get there. He asks us to step out. He proceeds to well, actually, in the car, he asked us if we knew what we were getting ourselves into. Martin said yes. Of course, I just sat back and I kept quiet. Um, I've learned not to say too much in those situations. Um, but he told Martin that.
Well, I said yes, and I said I think I'm pretty sure I do. And he said, if you think you're pretty sure, then you fucking don't know what's gonna happen to you guys. And I said okay.
Yeah.
And then it was just quiet. Seemed like forever just for the car ride, but it was really only just a few minutes.
Yeah. So then we get there, and like I said, he told us to get out. Um, and we were both escorted to a building
with our hoods on still.
Yeah, with our hoods on. So we didn't know anything. So we got in front of where he told us to stop, told us to take our hoods off and to look forward only. And again, he's basically whispering quietly in our ear, still asking or saying basically about what we got ourselves into.
That's pretty. He said things are pretty fucked up in there, and that we fucked up to go up to do this. And again, he had said we don't know how this isn't gonna happen how we expect, and something that Dan's said several times before to us.
Seems to be always be the same.
The last time at the bar.
So the door then opens and we're basically pushed inside, and from my point of view, I remember looking to the right and I see this dark shadowy figure, and to the left there's this table with some kind of dark decor on it. I just remember immediately the first thing is being choked by a thick dense fog type, just filled the room, and kind of taken aback by it. And I remember going to the left and being told to fuck off. He doesn't remember that, but that's clearly what I heard. So then we both head over to the other side. And of course, Martin is grabbing my hand, and the dark figure then comes up behind us, and I remember it basically separating us. He's being pushed one direction and to the table actually, and I am being told to go another direction. And it's funny because we're basically being laughed at in a sense, because the person grabbed my hand because he said he liked holding hands too, because he obviously noticed Martin and I holding hands. So there was that. I don't know. I guess I'll just go off of what I did first, because he went to the table and I was basically grabbed by the back of my hair and kind of shoved in one direction to a wall and told to put my hands up on the wall and my forehead. And this person came up next to me And I don't remember if he asked if I knew who he was or if he told me who he was, but I was taken aback by that it was actually Opulence. Um, and, uh, just he would have this chuckle and he would have me say his name again and then had me say it with my whole chest. And I mean, there was a lot of little small talk. I remember he saw my nails and said he could do a lot of damage with those. Asked me what I was what I feared in that moment, and I said it was him. In that moment, it was him. I really didn't like. I don't know. There's so much that went on, and you just don't remember a lot in the moment. So I know he said some other things, like I said, a bunch of small talk. I then remember him, I don't know if he was just trying to get under my skin, but he said my husband not once looked over there to check on me. And then he directed me to another wall, asked me if I knew or something about walls. Like what he likes about walls is that you've reached the edge and just
you can't move them.
yes. And
they create boundaries.
Yes, yeah. Meanwhile, before all this, I forget some details, so I go back and I remember them. Also, when he separated me from Martin, he had placed his hand over my mouth and directed me to the first wall, and then talked about some things people fear, not other people fear, like bungee jumping or skydiving. People find enjoyment out of those. Some people find fear. Same for him. Some people fear him, and some people might find enjoyment out of that. And then I turned back around and I noticed Martin was gone. Of course, I was like, oh shit. I didn't know what was going to happen, or I didn't even know that he left. And he had directed me over to the table and had me to look at all that stuff and fill it out. While I was over at the wall, though, before I kind of missed this detail, I had the cameraman, basically just a light shining in my face and the camera, and I had my picture taken. While I was facing the wall, I just felt him nudging at me, and I was afraid to turn around because I was told not to move. And the cameraman just kept nudging me, and I didn't want to turn around because I didn't know if I would get yelled at for moving, but he kind of nudged me to get me to turn around, so I knew that I was supposed to. So he took my picture all while video recording. I went to the table and filled my stuff out. There was 3 pieces of paper. One was we were told not to speak about our experience until a certain time. I can't remember the middle paper. He might be able to when he tells you his. And then the third one was a question, and we were asked about what was important.
Something that we had most value in, something that was most valuable in our life. I don't remember what exactly it said.
I don't remember. I thought it was something that was I don't know, but I know what I wrote down, and it was with like blood ink, and we were told to keep that thought with us and carry it with us. He can kind of talk about his experience because I tend to talk a lot.
While Kaylin was down there going through all that, I had already looked through over the table. I signed a contract. I don't recall exactly what the set of paper, what the scriptures were saying in the middle of the table, but I did recall, obviously, that there was some wording that told me to write down something that I see that's most valuable, and I chose the word time and wrote that on the paper and kept that with me. And after that I was directed to go basically on my own, and kind of assumed that I should be going upstairs. So I started to walk up the stairs, and I guess it was the cameraman, cottage cheese guy, pushing me around. I did want to go further up the stairs, but he directed me to go through the first set of doors off of the stairs. And again, going through this room, it was red. the lighting was red, so I felt like that wasn't a good idea to go through that door. Walking through to that room, it was still very dark, very foggy. Couldn't hardly see anything. Just your breath's being taken away from the dirt and the fog. And I do recall it did seem like it was a portal of a door that we were supposed to walk through. I was directed to walk through this portal, and once going through this said portal, I noticed the pentacle on the floor, drawn out with like a chalky substance, and also some other emblem, sigil at the bottom of the pentacle. At this time, the camera guy's in my face the entire time, so I couldn't really see anything beyond that. And I was directed to stand in the middle of this pentacle with candles lit around, and suddenly this forest witch character comes from the darkness, and she asked me why I was there, what brought me here, and I kind of threw Kaylin under the bus because she drugged me into this and offered me up for sacrifice. So I felt like that was my time. I was being sacrificed, and this witch gave me an eerie feeling the entire time, and she was very forceful at getting answers and telling me, giving me information from her wisdom, and wanted to make sure that I knew that I had made a bad choice to be there. And she did several times, several things that she'd had to say. I cannot recall much of this. It was pretty suspenseful. She asked me, there were 3 buckets that if the first bucket for the word that I had wrote down that I wanted to either share with myself, or the second bucket was to share with someone that I know, or the third bucket was to share that with the universe. So I chose to share time, was the word I wrote down, and I chose to share that with the universe. And she affirmed that that was a good choice that I had made, and although it still felt like maybe I wasn't for sure if it was still the right choice or not, given this character that was standing in front of me. At this point, they directed me back downstairs, and it was Kaylin's turn, I believe, to go through upstairs, and I kind of walked through around with opulence, down around on the first floor, kind of going through the same things, shoving my head almost felt like onto the wall, and just I remember dirt just falling on my face and on my eyes and my glasses, and he again had mentioned how he liked the walls and for the reasons why he liked them. And one other thing he'd asked me as we walked around the room, he asked me if I liked Dan, and I said, yeah, I think I like Dan. He asked me why. I said, I feel like he's good deep down inside. It might not be very clear at that point, but he then told me that he's using Dan to exploit him for whatever their goals are, which seems to be some outrageous cult-like thing. I feel like everything was still very unclear about what their directives were with all of this. And that's kind of at that point, after walking and talking, Kaylin's already kind of explained, we spoke about the same things, and at that point I believe
we got called some very choice words.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, whatever. I had the same thing for Dan. He asked me the same thing. I mean, I tend to choke on my words a lot because I don't know what to say in the moment. I also don't want to say the wrong thing in the moment. I mean, I guess not really saying the wrong thing, but I know my words can be used against me. My answers. So I did say at first, I said Dan was brave because he was. I mean, dealing with everything that he's dealt with, and just going back to the bar experience, and I felt bad for him. Like, genuinely, at that time in the bar, that meeting, I just felt sorry for him. Um, but then there was just some different kind of vibe from him that night. Standing in front of him, like he just had a dead stare at me, and I was like, I feel like he's stupid for being involved in this. And I noticed blood dripping down the right side of his arm. And Opulence laughed and basically said that that's, the funny thing is he wants to be there. This is his choice. I don't know if that's just something that brainwashed, I guess, for him to now be a part of. I feel like him being exiled is not what we think it is. I think it's him being accepted into whatever this experience is or whatever they're trying to do. Um, but he just really never had the interaction with him in the car and then inside was also two completely different interactions. He's very just mute and didn't have much to say and just kind of stood around until he was told what to do. I don't know. Same thing goes for me up with the forest witch. Um, Same thing. I too had written down on the piece of paper, and I chose the universe as well, which she seemed very, I don't know, excited, I guess, that was the way I chose to go. I told her I was there and I wanted to learn from her. At first, she could tell that I wasn't for sure about things, but then, I don't know, I started to feel more comfortable and at ease around her. And to just, like we were told, to just be yourself and let go. And I kind of felt that. And I did. I eventually did feel like I wanted to learn from her and I needed to know more information. The same thing with Opulence. I was fearful, but I still was so intrigued to learn more and still want to learn more. And like that fear kind of started slowly going away as we got to talk to him a little more, on like a personal level, I guess. Um, Although he, like I said, had a very few choice words to call us, and called us out on a lot of things that I don't remember saying some things, and then he brings it up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Um, but yeah, I mean, the overall experience, um, they basically then let us out the door, and the last thing I remember Opulence saying is, "Here, let me give you my address," and it was,
He said 402. Oh, fuck off.
so I don't know. That just, it was a fun. It was a scary thing, not knowing what was going on, but then like leading up to it, um, you still felt the fear and anxiety of the unknown.
Yeah, definitely think opulence is something, a force to not be reckoned with, along with all of the minions that were there and the witch, wherever she falls into place. Like, I cannot tell you if she is running the show. I really feel like opulence still might be the top gun, at least that was there at this place. Yeah.
Yeah. Excited to see and anxious and nervous where our choices lead us with choosing the universe. Oddly enough, we both chose universe. I think us having going down the same path is eventually gonna catch up with us in some way. So yeah, I may have missed little details, but I know Matt and Cammy and Cassidy and them all had maybe similar experiences that they could fill in detail that maybe we left out. Because like I said, you're living in the moment that you really just, you try to remember all the fine detail, but it's hard to. So yeah, that's our interaction, and we're excited to share. Yep, blessings.